he has to really draw some serious boundaries with her while also protecting her. So I don't know, there's a real tension in their friendship this season that wasn't in season 1.
Hey everyone, I'm Anna Rumer with PopCulture, and today we have with us Griffin Matthews and Mae Martin to talk about season 2 of The Flight Attendant, which premieres on April 21st on HBO Max. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me today. I'm super excited to talk about the new season. Griffin, can you tell me a little bit about what it was like returning for the second season after all the success of the first? And then Mae, can you tell me about joining the show after everyone was obsessed with season 1?
I think returning to season 2, first of all, it felt like a gift because we didn't know our show was going to be such a hit. And second, I will say that we felt a responsibility, or I felt a responsibility to the fans to not rest, not rest on season 1. We had to do it all over again. So smartly, our writers and producers, switched locations. Now we're in LA, brought in some new cast members. Hello, Mae. And a new mystery, a new murder. It felt like they really tried to turn up the dial for not just the comedy, but the drama and the emotional life. We honor what the world did for the last 2 years. Yeah. And so I think when we get emotional this season, we really do it. We are really tackling some very real issues. So.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
What about you, Mae?
Well, for me, just as a fan of the show and having binged it in lockdown, and I loved it so much. I loved the escapism. And then, so I was so relieved as a fan when I started reading the scripts, and it was like, oh, they've turned it up to 11 and they've managed to keep that emotional weight. And also season 2s are always great because the writers are writing with the actors in mind. They know their voices and everybody knows, where they sit in the world of the show. So yeah, I think it's elevated, if anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Griffin, tell me a little bit about what Shane's been up to since we kind of figured out what he was really about last season. We get a different side to him this season, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think Shane, now that the secret's out, that he is still a flight attendant, but he's working when he's a flight attendant. You now know
right.
that. And so it was a different job this year because I knew that I had to try to represent the CIA. I knew I had to pick that up. And also, meanwhile, Cassie is falling apart, so her drama and her mess starts spilling out into Shane's life. And he has to really draw some serious boundaries with her while also protecting her. So I don't know, there's a real tension in their friendship this season that wasn't in season 1. And I think we hit some real emotional valleys and comedic peaks that are true to life, so I'm excited for people to see them really wrestle with their newfound friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Mae, tell me a little bit about Grace. She's like super cool. There's some intrigue there.
She's mysterious. Any new character that enters this show, you're like immediately suspicious because you're like, yeah. What are they hiding? How are they going to affect Cassie or vice versa? But I think they're kindred spirits in a way, Cassie and Grace, and that they're both kind of anti-authority and rebellious. Grace is a dangerous influence for Cassie with her new sobriety. But yeah, of course, the version of herself that she's presenting is not her real self. So it's kind of drip fed through the season with some good twists at the end that I really have been frustrated not to be able to say today.
Oh, I know. I've gotten to see through episode 6 and I'm like, come on, you got to give me the rest of the season. There's so much to come. Well, yeah. and I'm super curious, Grace does kind of feel like an alt universe version of Cassie, like a younger alt universe version of Cassie. Were you actively kind of trying to play with that, or is that just coming through in the script and in the storyline?
That's interesting. I think they definitely have immediate chemistry. And I think like when you have a secret, that can be quite a lonely thing. And they both have secrets. And so they find solace in each other. And Cassie turns to Grace when she feels like she's being judged by other people. And so I guess you're right. They're mirror versions of each other in a way.
Yeah. Well, and Griffin, I feel like Shane and you got so much love last season. you were so funny, and yet you were still this heart of the show too. Do you get to spread your wings a little bit more in season 2? Or are you giving us a little bit different now that we know more about your secret double life?
Well, I'm trying my wings. I think that Cassie keeps, she keeps knocking me down. She's a mess, but what I think happens for Shane this year is that you get to see his life. You get to see his life behind the scenes, and he's fighting for love. He's fighting for his future as well. So that's new.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say that one of the things that is so tricky about this show, like May was saying, everyone that comes on, you don't know what their real story is. And so there were conversations inside of this season. I hope I'm not spoiling things, but like, you go to Shane's apartment, and then we were like, is this really Shane's apartment? Is that what dress is like when he's off? There's so much now that you don't know who anybody is. You almost can't even trust it. So we were playing with that season. I'm excited to see how that unfolds.
Oh my gosh. Well, as a viewer, I know the tension is like crazy. I'm sweating watching these episodes. Is that something that as actors you were actively playing up, trying to make it more of an intense moment?
There's like this fizzing tension in Kaley's performance that is really infectious. And so, when you're opposite her and every take she's doing is different and bubbling with this kind of tension, that it's impossible not to.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like our writers have secrets, like we're back there scheming. We're like, could you just tell us what it is? And they kind of keep things ambiguous. And I think that sometimes it's actually really good because it forces you as the actor to make decisions, and you hope you're inside of the right box. But I think, like I said, there are some things that I still do not know about Shane. They will not tell me about Shane. And so I have to make decisions and hope that they align. But that's part of the excitement of the show. Even to make it, it's part of the excitement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, did each of you have any particular scene or episode that was extra exciting or extra fun to film?
For me, it's in episode 7. It's finally getting to get to the bottom of Grace and what she's up to and what's troubling her. Because I think you kind of feel this, the weight of the world is on her shoulders a bit. But so episode 7 was really fun, and also just like very cinematic, which was exciting.
There's so many spoilers. I don't know. I can't really say all the things that I love, but there is a guest star this season that is really special for me. I've always said, like, you read a script and then it changes when they cast a person opposite you. And that gets exciting because it could be a whole new ball game when the other actor walks through the door. So I'm excited for people to get to see Shane at home.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. And everyone keeps mentioning episode 7. I've only gotten to see up to episode 6. You're all driving me crazy.
We haven't seen it either. We don't.
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
We're all here in the same lurch then. Well, I really appreciate you talking with me today. I can't wait for everyone to see the season, and thanks for your time. Hey everyone, I'm Anna Rumer with PopCulture, and today I have with us Mo McRae, Caley Hernandez, and JJ Soria to talk about season 2 of The Flight Attendant, which is streaming April 21st on HBO Max. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for having us, Anna. What's up?
Hey, thanks for talking with me today. I'm super excited for everyone to see season 2. I've seen like 6 episodes, and I'm obsessed with all of your characters. If you could each kind of just go through a little bit about your character and what it is that drew you to them as an actor. If you want to start, Caley, you're first on my screen.
Sure. I play Gabrielle Diaz, which is one half of the Diazes. JJ Soria, of course, plays my husband, Esteban. And we're very much so a team. We're a bit of a wild card and quite
I'd say so.
quite impulsive, and that kind of leads us to some weird situations.
Villainous behavior. What about you, JJ? You gotta keep Caley's character kind of in line, and it doesn't really work.
Yeah, it doesn't really work, right? I mean, we're kind of two peas in a pod. Like, we're very similar, right? I try to be the more level-headed one. which I don't seem to be very successful at. But yeah, we get ourselves caught up in, I would want to say almost over our head unexpectedly. And leads us to questioning ourselves a bit, like, what do we get ourselves into? And what usually works isn't going so smoothly. I think it causes a little bit of friction with us, but between us, but also at the same time, we're just so loyal to each other and determined to get our catch.
Yeah.
That, we're still in the pursuit, at least up to the episode you're in, episode 6.
Oh gosh. Well, and Mo, you've also got quite the challenge of controlling Cassie, which is tough, nay impossible. Tell me a little bit about your character.
My character is Benjamin Barry. He's I like to see him as a bit of a company man, CIA officer, very loyal and dedicated to the cause and what he believes in, very straight-laced and disciplined, and tasked with keeping track of Cassie, which proves to be nearly impossible.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and in that process, I think of this job that he's been committed to in a very profound way, and working with Cassie, I feel like he ultimately gets introduced to parts of himself that maybe he didn't know was there beforehand. And the audience gets to see the way that all unfolds and how it presents itself, and what his motivations become throughout the course of the season.
We get to see a little bit of everyone's dark side, whether or not they're on the side of the CIA or the side of, nefarious forces. Was that fun for you all to kind of embrace?
Yeah, I think it's great to get the opportunity to show a lot of colors. I think as an artist, any artist, whether you're a singer, actor, director, painter, the opportunity to showcase a lot of yourself or things that you've been able to observe from humanity and then funnel it through your art is always an incredible opportunity. And I feel like our characters definitely get to do that. Like, there's a dichotomous nature to every character. I don't even think dichotomous is the best word, like multifaceted. Every character has more than you would expect from the moment you meet them to what you will discover at the end of the season. I think the audience is going to be like, how did we end up here? Based on where we started, how do we end up here?
Absolutely. That's where I was ending up, and I'm only halfway through. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today, and can't wait for everyone else to see the rest of the season. Thank you so much. Hey everyone, I'm Anna Rumer with PopCulture, and today I have with us Steve Yockey and Natalie 𝐒𝐻𝐻 to talk about season 2 of The Flight Attendant, premiering on April 21st on HBO Max. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hi, Anna.
Thanks for being here. Now, I'm so curious. Season 2 is so much fun. I've gotten to see some of it. When you're dealing with the success of season 1 and kind of going into the second season, what kind of conversations are you having about the direction to take things? Is it more fluid, or did you have a set goal going in?
I think we knew that if we were going to do a season 2, that it was going to center around Cassie's sobriety, because season 1 ends with, 1 day under her belt of sobriety, and it's a lot harder than that. So that felt like the most rich emotional journey to mine, and also something that you don't get to see on screen a lot, is the day-to-day of it. And so we knew we were starting from there. And then Natalie came on board with this kind of concept of doubling that I took and then ran into the ground. But we got very excited about that stuff.
Yeah, going into kind of the sobriety storyline, how did that influence the different tone of the second season? Because we definitely get into some really emotional moments there with Cassie.
Yeah. Natalie, you want this one?
Natalie?
I mean, I think it was, I wasn't on season 1. Of course, Steve created and wrote that. And I think the template that was set there of treating the sobriety journey in a realistic way, but also with capturing the humor, the dark humor, the pathos that if you experience on that journey, I think we wanted to move forward into season 2. So we start Cassie off in this place of, everything's okay. I'm a person with houseplants and new appliances that match. And then kind of quickly, she's putting on this sort of front, and then quickly that we see that unravel. And by mid-season, the sort of shiny veneer, the pink cloud that people in recovery, that's a term from recovery, is sort of broken off, and we take her to a very real and dark place.
Yeah. Well, and Natalie, it was your idea for the doubles. I love watching Kaley get to play so many different versions of herself. Where did that come from you, and how was that to put into motion?
So for me, it came from an idea of thinking about exactly where Cassie landed at the end of season 1, which was, I've admitted there's this other me, this dark me. So for me, coming into season 2, I was like, okay, then there's 2 of us. What do I do with that other person? What do I do with that double? And then Steve jumped on with that idea, and the multiple Cassies in the Mind Palace was born. And that became really the spine for our season 2.
Then all we needed was an explosion.
And we got one. I felt like we were living kind of our James Bond fantasy this season. Were there any particular inspirations going into the more, CIA cloak and dagger parts of it?
I mean, I honestly think that most of our inspirations sort of came from like Hitchcock and De Palma kind of were big influences. I think the one thing that we couldn't do last year was really go with the CIA of it all, because Miranda was a professional killer, but everybody else in the show was just a person that like was caught up in this. This season, having Cassie actually working for the CIA, even as an asset, it sort of opened the doors to have a lot more fun in those arenas. And that gives it a little bit more of a James Bond feel. That's very flattering though, because I'm not sure how accurate, but that's nice of you.
Oh, I had a blast. We're jet setting where we've got all sorts of duplicitous things going on. And I feel like we get to meet some very fun new characters who we don't really know where they fall. Can you talk about bringing in those 3 new regular characters that we're going to meet and then kind of not trust maybe?
Sure. Well, we have, let's see, who are we? Mae Martin as Grace St. James, and of course is a fellow flight attendant on Imperial Airlines, and quickly strikes up this friendship with Cassie. And how far are you into the series? How many of you?
6 episodes in.
Oh, 6 episodes in. Okay. So it becomes an interesting friend, and possibly more, because, you never know who to trust in the world of the flight attendant.
Well, and also to quite frankly, May is a little bit, Grace is a little bit who Cassie used to be. Like Grace is the one going out and partying. Grace is the one meeting people in international locations. Cassie is following some guy with a camera and then going back to her room because she doesn't drink and party anymore. So it's neat to set up those characters that can be like a foil of, oh, there's my Ghost of Christmas Past a little bit. And then the Diazes who come in
so fun
and are just a ball of fun. I mean, they're bad guys, but I mean, just those 2 actors, JJ Soria and Callie Hernandez, just went so hard into like having fun with those characters in that relationship that it was a delight whenever they were on set.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they were both menacing and hilarious, which is tough to pull off. So it was a credit to them. Well, and of course we have Sharon Stone coming in as Cassie's mom too. She's wonderful in that role. What was it that made you think that she had to play that role? And tell me a little bit about working with her.
Well, I think it's safe to say that we're all like just big fans of hers as an actress, here point blank period. But we found out, because we had written the role already, we found out that she was a fan of the show, and that she was maybe even interested in being on the show at some point. And we were like, oh, hey, we've got this role that you would knock out of the park. And so for us, it was like, grab her, like get her on here. And then she showed up and just knocked it out of the park. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit some really tough emotional notes throughout. And how is that balancing it with the funny? Because it makes you laugh. It makes you want to cry. I'm nervous almost the entire time I'm watching it. How is it balancing that, writing that, and creating that world?
I mean, part of what we think is successful about the show is that, like, if we've got a moment of like serious pathos, we'll undercut it with dark comedy. Or if we've got a really comedic moment, we'll use that as an opportunity to drop something super serious. And it's about keeping the audience off their balance a little bit while they're watching the show, because then they're open to anything. And so it lets us go to more dark or wild places, because we're sort of trying to actively manage everybody's response.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and is there one particular episode or arc that each of you is really looking forward to the audience actually getting to see? You want to go first, Natalie or Steve?
Oh, I am very excited for the middle of season 2 when the veneer of Cassie's sobriety starts to fade and the reality of her journey, sort of comes to the surface. And we're going to get to watch her kind of deal with her real both in her sobriety journey and also in her relationships with her mom and her brother. So I think that's the most exciting part of the season for me.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about episode 7. That's all I'm going to say about that. And I think that just generally, I'm excited to see what people are going to think, because it was really important to us to keep people entertained and to try and like make sure they still felt like they were watching the show, but that the show had evolved in some ways. And now we're just excited to see if people like it.
Oh, I bet they will. I was hooked. And of course you bring up episode 7, one beyond what I've gotten to see. So thanks.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
No. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. I really look forward to seeing the rest of the season for everyone to see it.